we talked about the delta between starting something from scratch and growing up your sales force versus airdropping in.
We've really kind of lived by the motto of pick your battles, right? Especially when you're dealing with partners or you're dealing with family members.
I've only organically grown businesses, so the culture molded around my own personality.
We've always had an amazing relationship where we've been able to turn it on and turn it off. Is this professional? Is this dad? Or is this Ross that I'm talking to? And so am I over for Sunday dinner? In which case he's dad, right?
What is the best mechanics to taking over a family business? Welcome to Outsource to Profits. I have a fantastic guest here. Mike, do you mind introducing who you are, what you do, and how you serve the world?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm Mike Libbey, partner and COO at YBL, which is an accounting firm, a virtual accounting firm that is based in Ontario. But we serve everybody all over Canada, from simple personal taxes to high-level virtual CFO work and advisory and strategy and all that fun stuff.
Fantastic. And I was mentioning offline that the recording, probably the episode that comes out just before this, was talking to somebody that airdropped in to be a leader of an existing company. So we talked about the delta between starting something from scratch and growing up your sales force versus airdropping in. Well, Mike even adds a dynamic to that, which is that you've airdropped into a family business. So now you're taking over legacy from a parent, as an example. So I don't even have a story. Usually I tell an anecdotal story of something that's happened in my life. I've started 3 agencies from scratch, never taken over the family business. Neither of my parents are entrepreneurs. So with that, can you paint the vivid picture of maybe the context of the business so that everybody understands maybe the strength of the culture, and then now snagging that from your mom or dad?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my dad started the business, which was formerly known as Your Bottom Line, since rebranded a couple of years ago as YBL, not too indifferent or dissimilar. So he started it about 21 years ago now. I joined on board as the first employee 16 years ago. We've grown it kind of side by side. I went from kind of simple bookkeeper to tax preparer to accountant to senior accountant to operations, all the way up to kind of COO, and have formally kind of taken over the firm as of about 2.5 years ago now. So I've been making the decisions and running the business behind the scenes for roughly about the last 6 years. And something that was interesting as we kind of went through it, we were almost being too polite to each other. It's like, whatever works most tax efficient for you, whatever works best on my end. There was no rush. We've always run it. We've both basically treated each other as partners from day one, regardless, which I give him major kudos for. And so from that perspective, it was pretty seamless. It was a decently, I would say, pain-free experience. We ended up focusing on a lot of the things that didn't end up mattering from a logistical standpoint. Like, how much did I bring to the business? How much am I supporting it? How many decisions did I make? At the end of the day, the government CRA did not care. It's about what made most sense for him, what made most sense for us, as we dealt with all the appropriate kind of pieces under the sun. And the transition per se is still going on, right? I'm the main person who's making all the decisions for the company. I'm the main person who's running all of the operations for the company, but he's still here because he loves it, and we'll have him here as long as he's not detrimental to the business's growth. So it's exciting for him. He loves to kind of see all this happening, and it works fantastically. Like I said, it's almost too seamless the way that it's kind of transpired.
I'm sure everybody wants to know, because I picture, again, as I mentioned, I've only organically grown businesses, so the culture molded around my own personality. But I've actually offered, I've a million harebrained schemed ideas, and I've offered, hey, Dad, do you want to go into business on this side quest or idea together? But I would then think about, what is it that he may do that I'll ultimately want to change when getting into control? So I'm sure everybody listening wants to know, because they're putting their parental hat on. What is it that you watched for 16 years that says, when I get in control of this, these are the ultimate changes that I'll make when I'm running the helm?
So we've really kind of lived by the motto of pick your battles, right? It especially when you're dealing with partners or you're dealing with family members, and we have about 5 family members who work with us, so it's very much a family business. And we got about 30 to about 33 people on the team right now. So we have that influence at everything as much as we possibly can from that family dynamic without it kind of getting strange. But people love it. They respect it. It's a very fantastic culture. I'm very fortunate to say. What I would say is from that pick your battle stance, we've always had a amazing relationship where we've been able to turn it on and turn it off. Is this professional? Is this dad? Or is this Ross that I'm talking to? And so am I over for Sunday dinner? In which case he's dad, right? So to be able to turn it off is extraordinarily important. And I didn't get into it, as strange as this sounds, to say that I'm going to take this over one day. It was more like, let's see what makes sense. Let's see what works. Start on a contract basis. And we ended up having these incredible synergies that when I was in high school, you certainly would have expected or would not have expected us to have. And so he's really put a lot of trust and faith in me, which I think is difficult for a lot of people, right? It was there, I wouldn't say since day one, but early days. And so he's seen me grow. He's seen me learn. He's seen me expand my kind of knowledge base and what I'm capable of. And so it'd give me a little bit of an inch here and there, and I would thrive in it, right? And that would prove my worth to him to be able to say, okay, let me give him a little bit more leeway. And that's really how we ended up kind of getting into this situation where now I am and have been for the last 5-6 years making all of the decisions. And so he's very forward thinking, which is also an interesting situation for somebody. He's about 66 years old, but he lives and breathes AI and technology and stuff as well. So we're very fortunate to have that dynamic relationship where he's not holding me back. I'm not holding him back. We agree on 99% of things. And that certainly helps. There are obviously some battles where we're butting heads a little bit behind the scenes and never let the team really know. But we specifically because we don't want anybody getting kind of confused along the way of who's the boss, who does this, who does that. But we're very much on the same page, I would say about 99% of the time. And he trusts me. And I think it is all about trust. He says, I know you're going to take this business in the right direction. Let me have my say if and as appropriate and kind of do with that what you will. But it was a long time of me proving myself, let's say, unofficially, for him to be able to give me that kind of leeway.
And was it easier to earn because that's convincing one person who happens to be a family member to earn the trust versus 33 others? Maybe give some advice and wisdom to those that might be in a similar circumstance of the balance between I have to earn the right and trust of the ultimate decision maker, but then knowing, will there be this thought of nepotism internally? Will there be of course of course we trust him, but I can do it better. Talk about that cultural change.
So I would say one of the biggest things was, and those are all completely fair, right? One of the biggest things was when we grew it together. By the time we started introducing employees, which was probably about 4 years after I joined, I had known enough from a business education perspective that people respected me out the gate. It's not like he was the boss, Mike is the lower level bookkeeper, and we're hiring somebody here. I was very fortunate that I proved myself not only to my dad, Ross, but to everybody else at the same time. And we were almost considered to be kind of head honchos together at the same time. So people respected me. And I genuinely believe that, not just from a nepotism standpoint, that I would prove myself consistently, come with fresh ideas, new ideas, and ways that would help the business move forward in a way that made sense for everybody. So I was fortunate, and a lot of people will not necessarily be, that I was there from day one. People saw it, they respected it, and they appreciated what I brought to the table, as opposed to certainly some dynamics where you got a 30-person team. Okay, in comes son, who's proved nothing. And hey, I'd like to take this over one day. They've got a lot more to work on and to prove themselves at a quick pace than me kind of being there from day one and people seeing that rapid progression in regards to, again, my skill set, let's say, not to pat myself on the back too much here, but they respect it and they always have.
Well, I wanted to do maybe some quick rapid fires. From a mechanic standpoint, you are an accountant. So business owner to business owner, you're talking to an audience. Just quickly, are there specific mechanisms, whether it's ESOP or, maybe there's a shareholder's note? What is the best mechanics to taking over a family business? That's the first question I have, and then we'll get into actions and activities.
Absolutely. I would say discuss this extraordinarily early, extremely early. Have those conversations as uncomfortable as they might be. The last thing you want to do is find out down the line, or hey, right before you're expected to do something, well, we should have done it this way, should have done it that way. Whether you're talking estate freezes, corporations, trusts, things of that nature, get your house in order well before you think you need to. Frankly, a lot of people should run their business as if they're selling it regardless. It's just a good way to have that mentality. Let me keep things up to date. Let me have a game plan. Let me do this. Let me do that. Structure it some type of way. So I would say have those conversations early with key stakeholders, whether that's family, whether that's people within the business, so that people kind of can understand what's going on from that perspective. And be fair, right? If you're talking exclusively from a family standpoint, you need people to be fair on both sides. And we were almost too fair. I mean, I joke that I overpaid. He jokes that I underpaid. The reality is we both knew that I brought a lot to the table from day one. And be flexible, right? You have to understand that there's going to be some kind of inner workings and some changes along the way, whether you're selling to family or transferring the wealth to family. There's going to be some situations that arise when you talk to these specialists. It's going to leave you thinking, okay, I didn't know that mattered. And so it's important to talk to those specialists early if there's something like that on the horizon as well, I would say.
Fantastic. Last question around actions and activities. Although it does sound like, so it's not like you were airdropped in and were making immediate changes. So culture and change happened organically. But perhaps, what are some of the actions, activities that you've brought into the business to modernize it, to advance it?
So I would say exactly that. Every part of it from a modernization perspective, you could go all the way back to me doing extreme due diligence in regards to what should be our practice management, workflow management system. And we use Carbon, and we have for about 8 going on 9 years now. The introduction of moving us to rebranding, and showing who we really are to the world, that helped a lot internally and externally, where people finally felt, I get this company. I know what they are. I know what they're trying to achieve. The big decision to be able to make us completely go virtual. That was a major one as well. And really moving up market in regards to who we serve and how we can show that value from an advisory, cash flow, KPI, forecasting perspective. That's really where I believe that we can make the biggest difference. And importantly, in today's world, future-proofing us as best we can. I am doing everything I possibly can from an AI perspective to ensure that I'm getting the bleeding edge information to be able to make these decisions in real time internally, whether financially or operationally, to say, I can do everything that I can to project where we're going to be in 1 year, 3 years, but we all know this stuff is moving extremely fast. So the best I can to be able to position our team to be able to be as future-proofed as we can is something that I'm very much bringing to the table right now.
This is fantastic. How do people get a hold of you if they want to know more?
Yeah, so by all means, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. If they want to hit me up on LinkedIn, that would be fantastic. And we're very active on all other socials at the same time, but just ybl.ca, that's where you're going to find us. And I appreciate the time, Jamie. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being on Outsource to Profits.